Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody today? It is Tuesday, guys. Today is 7/29, 2025. Can you guys see what's on my screen? I'm so excited for this. This is so cute. So Bianca actually made this for me. She sent it to me about almost 2 weeks ago, but I realized my email. Hey, Bianca, thank you so much. I wanted to share it. I got a kick out of this. What is so funny about this to me is I might have it on this computer. I'm not sure, but um, hi. The how Bronx looks in this video is literally identical to how he looked as a baby in real life. Oh my goodness, it's identical. It is so funny. Hey, Monty. I'm glad you caught alive. Yay. Yeah, so cool. I'm like, oh my gosh, that actually looks identical to how he looked as a baby. That is crazy. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, just a reminder, everything is alleged that we talk about and is our opinion. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. I'm gonna play this real quick. Hello, our favorite humans. Welcome to Bronx Tales with your host, Bronxy B, and me. Oh, first, I want to just thank every single one of you who joined our live last night, and as well as the people who watched it on replay. We wouldn't be here without you, and we just want to thank you so much for all the support you guys give. This is an amazing community with amazing people. You guys have excellent
Yes.
ideas and
Hey,
thought
Scala.
processes and able to think
This
outside
is
the box.
so
And we just really
awesome.
appreciate the support that everybody gives us. Especially a huge shout out to Bianca for modding for us last night on our very first live.
This is
Thank you guys.
hilarious.
We really appreciate you.
In case you missed it, how Bronx looks in this is exactly how he looked as a puppy. Exactly how he looked as a puppy. Crazy. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave this up for a second. This is hi Susan, hi everybody, hi Christina. This is the cutest thing. Bianca actually emailed it to me about 10 days ago or so, and I had deleted my um, app that I get the email from this channel on, and I totally forgot to reinstall the app. I was cleaning some things out, and so I finally reinstalled the app today because I forgot that I never reinstalled it. And then I found this freaking gem. So cute. And guess what, guys? So, just a channel update. As of today, we were finally able to put in a request or application for YouTube's partner program. So, very soon, we will be able to have memberships and stuff like that. And I have an idea for memberships that I would like to do. And you guys tell me if you have any better ideas or if you think this is a cool idea. I would like for members to like do a behind the scenes type of thing where I can actually give back and we can play like a game. Like maybe I'll get a couple lottery tickets and we can scratch them live. And then whoever I pull out of a hat gets the winnings, something like that. I just wanted to do something different. I don't always or rarely, I actually rarely see on other channels where the creator actually gives back to the people that support them. So I really want to do that. Maybe like once a week for the members, and then we'll do like a big giveaway at the end of the month, something that's bigger. I can even do like gift cards, or I can, send you money on Cash App to buy you lunch or a pedicure, or like whatever, something like that. I just want to give back, and I think that'd be really cool to give back to obviously the people that are loyal and supportive over here. Thanks, Scala. Hey, Pokey. Pokey Dots. Hi, stop that right now. Actually, while I have you, let me see if I can. Whoops. Uh, I don't know how to do that. Interesting. Anyways, okay, I'll figure that out later. I was trying to make somebody else a mod too, but I'll have to figure it out later because it's not giving me the option over here. Anyways, okay. So really excited about the channel update today. That was unexpected. So what else do I have? Oh, I am getting close to uncovering who Brian Koberger was on his front steps talking to with the Harley motorcycle and the tattoos and the tan skin. I am close to figuring that out. And if it's what I think it's going to turn out to be, that person has a connection to one of the people in this case that has a connection to 1122. Well, the people or a person in there, which it will be very strange if that ends up being the person I think it's going to end up being. But we will do that when I have it all figured out. But we are close to that. And I'm very close to uncovering some pretty big lies that the roommates have told, other than the ones we already know about, some other ones. So I'm going to keep working on those and bring you those updates as soon as I have them. I know, Christina, I'm so excited. So excited. All right. So another thing I just want to talk about really quick is when I was reading over the documents, I noticed that Bethany made a statement. This is in her documented statement where she says, when Dylan was in her room, she didn't call 911 because she thought the information that Dylan was giving her was something that Dylan imagined. So she didn't call 911. But now that we know, my question is, why would Bethany think that Dylan was imagining that when she herself said she heard a boom and flashes of light through the crack of her door? She obviously knew it wasn't Dylan imagining it. She knew that because she heard some things herself. So that right there is a lie. And I'm very close to uncovering a couple more that are actually bigger than that. For some reason, I'm seeing this pattern of Bethany and Dylan trying to distance themselves from one another. And that speaks volumes to me. Speaks volumes. It's like in one of these documents, I saw somebody, who was it? It was Showalter, when he said, I didn't know who the other girl was. And to me, that seemed kind of like distancing language because you definitely knew who Kaylee was. Stop it. So that is the updates. Again, we're only going to be on for about an hour-ish today. I just want to continue getting through these documents. I want to have a little bit of time to try and uncover who I think Brian was talking to on his steps. So I want to be able to kind of dig a little bit tonight too and get some answers going. So we were on number 123 was our next one. Let me see if I can get it up here because I think I already had it pulled up. Yep, there she is. What a beaut. 123. And 123 is Barrett's initial response to 1122 King Road, where the crime scene was, obviously. My problem I have, I'm seeing a pattern in this too, is that some of these officers are writing these reports well over 2 months later, 3 months later. And I'm starting to realize the reason they're doing that is because in those 2 months or 3 months, they've now gotten everything together that they need to get together to hide certain stuff and mislead us a certain way. And so that's why I think some of these reports are written so far into the future. I was getting irritated, like, how you can't recall exactly everything, even if it's on your body camera. You can't, like I said yesterday, you can't recall what you heard, what you were smelling, what you were seeing. You can't like describe that as well when you saw it initially, and then 3 months later you're trying to describe that again. Like, it, you just aren't going to get as close to what you heard, saw, felt, seen, all that stuff 3 months later. Like, it's just, it bothers me. Okay, so we'll read this one. Again, it's Barrett, Captain Barrett. At around 11:13 at around noon, I received a phone call from Sergeant Gunderson informing me his team responded to a call at 1122 King Road where they found 4 deceased college-age individuals inside the residence. He said it was apparent they had all been murdered. Sergeant Gunderson said they did not know the location or identity of the suspect. Gunderson said his team had cleared the residence and secured the scene. He said that they identified a group of college-age individuals outside the residence and had started interviewing them, which we know is not true because in the interviews of the people that were part of that group standing outside, those people individually have come forward and said, we sat out there for hours before anybody told us any information. The only time they gave us some information was when we started basically complaining and cussing their butts out because we were sitting there for hours and didn't know anything. Nobody was talking to us. So for them to say they started interviewing them right away is bullcrap. It goes on to say, I called Chief Fry, Captain Lanier, and Captain Dollinger to let them know about the homicide. I called Detective Sergeant Lawrence, told him about the homicide, and asked him to call in detectives. Lawrence said he would call in Blaker and Payne to assist as well because they were slated to rotate into detectives soon. Sergeant Lawrence said he was also calling the Idaho State Police to ask for the Region 2 detectives to process the crime scene. Okay, so Region 2 detectives were the ones who processed the scene. Okay, that's good to know, actually. I called B.E., U of I Dean of Students, and B.L. with U of I Office of Public Safety and Security to inform them of the homicide because the residence was near the U of I campus and the victims appeared to be college student. Bull effing crap, you guys. That is bull crap. No, they called Dean of Students and the Office of Public Safety and Security at U of I first. This is one of the first things he does, because they have to let the university know before they let anybody else know so the university can decide what happens. There would have been no reason for him to have to call the university because it did not happen on campus. It wasn't related to the camp. It had nothing to do with the campus. Just because they're college students doesn't mean crap. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. Okay, I'm going to look into this a little bit more. This just blew my mind. There is no reason for them to be calling anybody at the university right off the bat. No way. Before you even let their parents know. This had nothing to do with the university. Unless it did, and they called to get that information, like, hey, what do you guys know about this? You know, is this something you guys had something to do with? Of course, we would never know that, though, but you know what I'm saying? When I arrived on scene, I met with Sergeant Gunderson and Sergeant Lawrence on the street in front of the residence. We briefly discussed the scene, and I was given the names of 4 individuals who were unalived: Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonsalves. I was also told 2 of the witnesses outside, Dylan Mortensen and Bethany Funk, were roommates and were apparently inside the residence when the incident occurred. Gunderson told me a dog was taken out of Kaylee Gonsalves' room and transported to the Humane Society for safekeeping. He told me it didn't appear the dog had gone into the rooms where the unalivings were committed because it didn't have any visible blood on its body. I don't think off I don't know if you're referring to what I was saying, Christina, for off-campus housing. Yeah, I'm not sure if they signed something or anything like that. I would think off-campus housing wouldn't really be connected to the university as far as having to sign anything or having any liability with the university. I mean, they didn't even own the house yet or anything. So to me, there really shouldn't have been really a connection there. The only connection right now that I can think of is really like just informing like the receptionist or something that, hey, these kids aren't alive anymore, they won't be coming to class, type of thing. But as far as informing the university first, that's a little bit wild to me. I don't know. I think that is very loud. I smell something fishy. Okay, so Gunderson saw that Murphy didn't have any visible blood on its body. I contacted U of I, Dean, last name of E, gave him the victims' names, and asked if he could verify if they were students. Well, okay. Verify if they were students. He contacted me later and confirmed all 4 were students, but didn't have any emergency contact information for them other than their permanent addresses. At 1304, the University of Idaho sent out a vandal alert. So 104, they sent out the first vandal alert via text message regarding the homicide. At about 1:30, we moved the witness, who I believed were students, that patrol identified on King Road to the Moscow Police Department training room. I met with Sergeant Lawrence, Sergeant Blaker, Corporal Payne, and Detective Mallory and asked them to start interviewing each person. I also met with CF, U of I Associate Dean of Students at the police department. I talked to her earlier about having the students come to the police department to be interviewed. F had an assistant with her, and they were there to comfort the students and be a resource if necessary. While I was in the training room, I was told 2 of the witnesses were Ethan Chapin's triplets, maybe, Maisie and Hunter, siblings. They told me their parents had been informed of Ethan's death and they were on their way to Moscow. I asked Lawrence to arrange death notifications for Kaylee and Maddie's parents. He later informed me a Kootenai deputy went to the Gonsalves home to notify them of Kaylee's death, and they had already been made aware. Captain Dollinger told me he met Xana Kernodle's father, Jeff, on scene. Captain Dollinger said he asked Jeff to meet him at the police department where he informed him of Xana's death. Lawrence said a Coeur d'Alene officer went to S and K, which I think is, Maddie's parents, Karen Laramie's house, to notify them of Maddie's death. Karen is Madison's mom. Sergeant Lawrence was informed that the Laramies had been informed and were already on their way to Moscow. When the Laramies arrived at the police department, I did the death notification and asked Sergeant Lawrence to interview them. At around 2:15, I met with President Scott Green and his staff in his office on campus. I told them about the homicide and that the suspect's location and identity remained unknown. Wow, so he's meeting with the president of the university 2 hours after the 911 call was made. That to me is pretty fast. Pretty fast. I returned to the police department and Jack DeCour approached me asking if I could release the dog Murphy to him. He said he and Kaylee Gonsalves both owned the dog. At that point, I was busy working with detectives and administration and didn't release the dog. I talked with Payne, who had interviewed Jack DeCour. He said DeCour had been in a relationship with Kaylee, indicating they broke up a few months ago. Payne said DeCour told him he and Kaylee remained friends after the breakup. I asked about the dog that had been removed from the residence and taken to the animal shelter, and Payne said DeCour told him that he and Kaylee both owned the dog. Later that afternoon, DeCour approached me again and asked if I could release the dog to him. I called Captain Lanier, who was with Sergeant Gunderson outside of 1122 King Road. Lanier confirmed with Gunderson that they understood DeCour co-owned the dog and the dog was taken to the animal shelter for safekeeping. I was told the dog was uninjured and didn't have any blood on it. I agreed to release Murphy to DeCour because it was my understanding we had only taken the dog into custody for safekeeping and he was an owner. I asked to have patrol officers meet DeCour at the animal shelter to release the dog. I continued to work with detectives and command staff for the rest of the day. I wish there was more information on what the rest of his day looked like, where he went and who he spoke to. I want to know that information. What was that, 123? Oh no, my pen. Okay, that's good. All right, 125, I have it marked as something that I should look at, but let me get it open. There we be. And grab it and put it on there. There we go. There we go. Hi, Devil Woman. Hi, Leslie and Billy. Welcome, welcome. Susan. All righty. Alrighty. This is by Sergeant Gunderson. Information about Kaylee's dog during the initial response. Gunderson says at approximately 12:05, I arrived at 1122 King Road, reference an unconscious subject. It was quickly determined the scene was likely a quadruple homicide based on our observation. When I arrived on the 3rd floor to assess the scene, I noticed a medium-sized curly-haired tan dog on the bed inside the western 3rd floor bedroom, later identified as Kaylee's room. The dog appeared timid and scared and didn't react to our presence. Due to the chaos surrounding the scene, my initial concern was preserving the scene. As part of that process, I asked one of the officers to shut the door so the dog did not attempt to jump on the bed with any of the victims. I just want to mention, like everybody else, this seems very weird to me. I understand that the dog was scared, but it seems weird considering dogs are still dogs. No matter how domesticated we make them, they're still dogs. And when they smell blood, they're going to react to it. They're going to go towards it. They're going to smell it. That's just their instincts. They're dogs. So I find it strange that he didn't go, number one, to check on his owner, because I'm sure he knew what, he heard, he saw, he whatever, unless he was outside or gone at that time. But as soon as he came back in the house or got brought back in the house by whoever had him, if that's the case, I don't know, that's the thing. But I would think that he would go straight to where the red fluid is and start smelling and maybe even licking. I find that very strange that the dog didn't. With the door being open too, it just doesn't, something there, I feel like there's something with the dog, and I'm not sure really what it is yet. But yeah, I was going to say something, but I totally forgot what it was. After the area was cordoned off and the area was secure, Snyder began taking photos of the scene. At some point prior to this process, the dog moved from the bed to under the desk in Kaylee's room. After photos were completed, I asked LCSO Deputy Olson to respond and assist by taking the dog to the Humane Society for safekeeping. I collected the dog from under the desk. The dog was timid and took some coaxing to move from under the desk, but did not appear to have any blood on or around the dog. I don't believe the dog was on or around the victims. I walked the dog to the front door where Officer Warner was stationed and asked him to hold on to the dog until Deputy Olson arrived. Now, did the dog just follow him because he had some sort of food or treat? Like, how did he get the dog out from under the desk? And then did he have a collar on? Did they put a leash on him to get the dog to go where they wanted him to go? Like, I want the little details like that. Like, if you put a leash on him, where did you get the leash? Things like that. Officer Warner was stationed at the front door. I asked him to hold on to the dog until Deputy Olson arrived. A short time later, Olson arrived. I walked the dog from Officer Warner to Deputy Olson, who was standing in the street. At my request, Olson transported the dog to the Humane Society. I asked Olson to write on the intake sheet for the Humane Society to not release the dog to anyone unless MPD gave approval first. After I released the dog to Olson, I resumed managing the scene until I was relieved by Detective Unit. I did not take any photos of the dog. Wow. I did not take any photos of the dog, specifically during my response to the scene. Some of the photos taken by Corporal Snyder, evidence item 1, have the dog in the background. The dog can also be seen on my body-worn camera. Not good enough, sir. I can't believe he didn't take close-up pictures. He should have taken pictures of each paw, the belly, the underside, his mouth, his chin, his anything. He should have taken tons of pictures, just even as a cover your butt type of thing. Like, because that is very strange that the dog, Murphy, doesn't have anything on him. He doesn't mention if his fur is dry or wet, or, I mean, it even could be that somebody gave Murphy a bath, but considering it had been 8 or 9 freaking hours later that they're even coming in contact with Murphy, he could have already dried by then. But definitely should have taken dang pictures. After reviewing Officer Nunez's body-worn camera of his initial response and clear of the residence, the door to the Gonsalves bedroom was open upon his arrival, and the dog was laying on the bed. Terrible. Just terrible. I cannot wait to figure out who that guy on that motorcycle was. I am like on it for that one. 130 is our next one, and I believe this is a tip of some sort. Let's bring this bad boy over here. And I think I know the name of the rug dealer that they, we've been seeing all these tips and things that the police have not done anything with. They didn't follow up on this. They closed these out. They didn't do what they were supposed to. They didn't investigate at all. But remember, a couple of days ago, we talked about a rug dealer that is called a name that starts with the letter C, and it's in quotes. The name, there was a little fly on my leg. The C rug dealer that they put in quotations, like it maybe is a street name or a slang name or something for that person. That's pretty much so far the only lead or tip that they followed up on. And that's because they knew FBI was in town. And if they could be the hero of bringing down this rug investigation by following the tip on this rug dealer, they would, of course they would do that. They want to be these hero looking guys to the FBI. So that was the only tip or lead so far that I've seen really been followed up on. And it still wasn't even that good. But anyways, that C guy, I'm pretty sure I know their name. I'm not going to say it yet. I'm going to make sure I have it correct before I do, but I will let you guys know probably either tomorrow or the next day. Okay. This one is by Danny Vargas. Video collection and tips. On November 17th, Detective Chris Engel with PPD Pullman provided me with an email with information regarding several Pullman home invasions, including a possible FBI Moscow. Involving a possible suspect of JAC. Let me dig into that and see if I can figure out who that is. JAC. I forwarded this email to the FBI Moscow tip line to be assigned and followed up with. On December 13th, I saw an article online of the recent arrest of SH in blank. H was arrested for stabbing multiple people at a casino in blank and fled the area in a white sedan. I reached out and spoke with Detective M.A. with blank County Sheriff's Office. Detective A provided me with the description of the suspect vehicle and the weapon which was used in this offense. And then we have a very large redaction. I have not seen that big of a redaction yet. I'd love to know what that says. Detective A also stated the sheath for the knife was located on the passenger seat of the suspect vehicle. I determined this person was not involved in our incident and told Detective A I would not need any further information regarding their incident. You have got to be effing kidding me. How did you come to that conclusion? Why? Because the sheath was on his freaking car seat? Who's not to say he just went and bought another one? There's only one sheath in 100-mile radius or what? And it was left on the bed by Maddie Mogan. What are these people doing? Why would you not Why would you not follow up on that tip? Especially because we know we have a white sedan that matches the one they think Koberger was driving that was abandoned and crashed in Eugene around this time. Why would you not follow up on that freaking lead? Unbelievable. This is really irritating. On December 15th, I received a phone call from Detective F from Blank County Sheriff's Office with information on an abandoned 2016 white Hyundai Elantra, which was located in Blank County near a residence. I called Detective F back and he provided me with the plate number, which is registered to CC. CC, I think, is somebody, I'm not going to say the name yet, but I'm pretty sure that is somebody that is part of the ring of rug dealing that the police took down during their sting operation. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to check on that again, but I think the person that was registered to this vehicle is part of the rug ring dealers. Detective F stated there was a past contact at the residence where this vehicle was seen parked involving a relative of C, EPC, and RLS. Thanks, Pokey. I have some things that I'm pretty sure I'm right on. I just have to make sure the names are correct before I put them out there. Because you guys know, I'll tell you, I'm not scared of anything. I will put the names right out there. You can come beat me up. I don't care. It's public. It should be public knowledge. People should be able to be safe and know these names. CEPC with a really short name, last name. The C is really short. Okay, I'm going to keep going, but I'm going to save this one. I want to come back to this one on my free time. I called Detective F back and he provided me with the plate number, which is registered to CC out of blank. Detective F stated there was a past contact at the residence where this vehicle was seen parked involving a relative of C, EPC, and RLS. Now, what is a contact of what residence? Where this vehicle was seen parked? Where is that residence? What, I don't even know what residence they're talking about. Good Lord. Your guys' report writing is horrendous. Anyways, okay, I'll just keep going. I'm going to come back to this one. Detective F sent me a photo of the vehicle, which I determined did not match the suspect vehicle description. What? I thought you had Brian Koberger's white car from day one. How does this not match the description? It's literally the same freaking vehicle. 1 year off, but they look the same. It's like they got Koberger's name and then any lead, any tip, anything, somebody could have literally led them to the unaliver's front door and the unaliver could have said, yeah, I did it. It was me. And they would have still charged Koberger. Like as soon as they had Koberger's name, they just threw everything else away. They didn't even spend time on a lead, on a tip, on a nothing. That is awful. And considering they said they knew right away that Kaylee had obvious wounds from a different object, from a different weapon. So you didn't think maybe there was two people? I should follow up on these leads just because we think there might be two people involved. What an idiot. On November 15th, 2022, I called KF, the property owner for blank Linda Lane, and asked about video footage he has on the property. F stated he did not have video and later sent me an email with a direct login to his camera system so the videos could be viewed for any time frame. Details of the email are below. R&D. Below is a link to a Google Drive with footage from our cameras at blank Linda Lane. I uploaded videos from two cameras from 2 o'clock in the morning through 6 o'clock in the morning on 11/13. One camera shows the parking lot of blank, including a little bit of the parking lot from the Queen Apartments below. The other camera covers the street of Linda Lane looking toward Taylor or Blake. The longer videos, larger files, show an entire hour, while the shorter videos show clips where the camera system detected motion. And then it's redacted, so whatever website that is. The videos are currently uploading, so keep refreshing if they are not all there. Additionally, I'm providing a login to the camera system so that you can review any of the cameras for any time frame. Once logged in, you can choose any of the 4 cameras. 4 cameras? We don't have four camera views. We haven't seen 4 views, have we? Not from that area. Where are the other views of the cameras? What the heck? Wow. Hi, Denise. Hi, Denise. Hi, Denise. Glad you're here. Okay. Once logged in, you can choose any of the 4 cameras from the list on the right. You can click on the playback tab at the top and then the date from the calendar on the right. Then use the timeline at the bottom to select when to view. Note that the camera that points down Linda Lane goes offline every day from blank for a scheduled Wi-Fi reset. In addition to using a web browser to view the videos, there is a PC app and a mobile app that can be downloaded and installed. Just search for blank. You can use the same IP address as in the URL above along with the blank when configuring the app. If you need any help viewing any of this, don't hesitate to reach out. KF. I forwarded this information to FBI RH on how to access the Linda Lane video. On November 27th, I called CF, who lives at blank, blank, blank Drive. I asked F if she still had her Nest camera. Okay, so this is somebody who has used whoever CF is. It's a female. And it sounds like police have used her camera in the past because she's saying, I called her to ask her if she still has her Nest camera system. So she must have used it in the past. She stated she did. F put me in contact with her husband, B E or BB, and said he could provide me with their available camera footage. B brought a hard drive to MPD, which contained video footage from their Nest cameras. A white sedan matching the description of suspect vehicle is seen traveling west on Indian Hills Drive and passes by blank Indian Hills Drive on 11/13 at approximately 3:25. Around the end of November and the beginning of December, Chris Engel, Pullman Police Department, provided me with the following videos from several Pullman businesses, and they're all redacted. On December 2nd, Chris Engel provided me with the contact information from the blank out of Pullman, Washington. I reached out to the corporate security head, MG, and he stated we could come to the branch in Pullman and view the video on site to see if it would be of any evidentiary value prior to requesting a search warrant to obtain the video. FBI made arrangements to view the available video at blank blank. FBI P called me and told me he viewed the available video and did not locate anything of evidentiary value. On January 3rd, 2023, KL, Pullman PD records specialist, sent me a link to ppdevidence.com and shared all videos and photos for 2 PPD cases. Blank and blank. Blank was a found buck knife in a sheath located on Terra View in front of the WSU Technology Research Park on 12/29. The photos for this case are attached in Spillman to the original call, and I did not download the photos from ppdevidence.com. Blank was a hit and run DUI accident at blank, which occurred 11/12 at approximately 11:40 at night. This location is on the same road leading to Koberger's apartment complex. Multiple officers responded to this location and remained on scene for several hours with their in-car cameras and body cameras capturing video. Wait a minute. So if this hit and run DUI accident that initially started and happened at 11:40 at night, and it's on the same road leading to Koberger's apartment complex, and they stayed on scene for several hours. So that would be like about 3 in the morning. And you're saying Koberger his car was the car seen on video camera at 3:25. But you're saying he didn't drive straight from his apartment straight to Moscow, that he went like roundabout ways. They would have seen Koberger leave on either their car cameras or their body-worn cameras from that hit-and-run accident. They would have seen him leave his house. I want to look at this one again, too. Insane. Or is this the same one? Yeah, okay. Wow, wowee. And that's probably the same reason. So in one of these documents, it says that Brian Koberger downloaded a police scanner app. And I know guilters were saying, see, he's trying to see if they're on to him. No, he specifically downloaded a police scanner app that was for Pullman, Washington, and it was probably to see what was going on outside of his house that day, because they've had several instances right outside of Koberger's house. It was only for Pullman Police Department that he had the scanner app for, not for Moscow. If he was trying to see if they were onto him, he would have downloaded the Moscow one. So guilters can kick rocks. At approximately 11:40 hours, this location is on the same road leading to Koberger's apartment. Multiple officers responded to this location and remained on scene for several hours with their in-car cameras and body cameras capturing video. The video span from 11/12/2022 at 11:41 hours to 11/13/2022 at 3:25 hours. And they're saying Koberger was already in Moscow trying to park by 1122 King Road at 3:25. So they would have seen him leave. Either him or him in his vehicle, they would have seen it leave. The suspect vehicle was located on WSU Greek Row, and officers responded to that location as well. The suspect vehicle was located on WSU Greek Row. Which suspect vehicle? Brian Koberger's suspect vehicle or suspect from this DUI hit and run? I'm going to assume it's from this DUI hit and run. CEF, the owner of the suspect vehicle, was contacted and arrested for this offense and booked into the Whitman County Jail. While reviewing the photos located on Koberger's phone, I found a screenshot of F, Whitman County booking information taken from Whitman County Jail roster. Last modified date, 11/13 at 6:27 p.m. CF. Who is Brian Koberger? Okay, so he knows this person. It was a hit and run. Brian Koberger knows this person. Could this person be one of his dealers, or could it be the person that was sitting on his front steps with him? I mean, so that makes it clear he did have either connections, friends, something. He was up to something. I mean, he's screenshotting another man's picture that was arrested, and he's downloading the scanner app, the police scanner app, to see what's going on, probably because he knew what was going on but wanted to hear if they caught him or not. I found a screenshot of F in Whitman County booking information taken from the Whitman County Jail roster. Last modified date, 11/13 at 6:27 p.m. I downloaded all of the videos from Pullman Police Department evidence.com regarding blank and will review to see if Koberger drove by the incident between 11:41 to 3:25 hours. Okay, so if there is not an update on this, this is Vargas, right? She said she is going to download all the videos from ppdevidence.com regarding this CF person that was in the hit and run that then got arrested. She's going to review those body cameras and car cameras from the police in Pullman to see if Brian Koberger left between 11:41 and 3:25 in the morning on the 12th into the 13th of November. If we don't see a follow-up on this, that tells me they did not see Brian Koberger leave, which should then tell you everything. unless he left in somebody else's vehicle. But if they don't see his vehicle, he very well could have never left in those hours, which means that wasn't his car on the camera footage at all. Well, we already know that it was the undercover, but this just gives more proof that it possibly could not have been Koberger that committed this crime. I mean, according to them, he had no friends, so who the heck is going to be picking him up anyways? Interesting. I need to see if there's a follow-up on this at all. If there's not, that's it. Like, Koberger didn't leave. Wowee. Oh, I know what. All right, I'm going to add 133 to the screen. I'm not sure if we're going to get to it today, but I have something to prove as well. I just want to wait till we get there to do it. Okay. This one is by Mowry. The date for this report is January 30th, 23. This is a warrant for Brian Koberger's Tinder account. I don't think. Okay, so in this one, I don't really need to read this one just because it is just a warrant to be able to look at his Tinder account. With this one, I'm just more or less proving that they said that Brian Koberger wiped all of his devices. He just completely wiped all of his devices. I just wanted to show you guys, and this is the first of many, that even if they said he wiped it, they got all of the information off of it. So there's no point in really saying it was wiped anyways, other than to try and prove like he was nervous about something, he wiped his phone. I don't think he did. I think he might have deleted some stuff, but in my mind, I think it's just normal stuff that we all, like sometimes I'll go through my photos and delete old ones I don't need or whatever. But there are so many warrants like this. And when the warrants are returned, they get the full scope of all of the information to review. All of the clicks, all of the chats, all of the pictures, everything. They end up getting them all from every account, from Facebook, from Instagram, from YouTube, from Reddit, from Tinder, from another dating app, just tons of them. There's like probably 30 of them. So to me, that doesn't really say he wiped his phone. But if he did delete stuff, it really wasn't any of this stuff, unless obviously, it stays in the app. So I don't know, maybe he deleted the apps, but they can still get the information. So there's no point in deleting it anyways, but they ended up getting all of this information. So honestly, it's a little bit irrelevant when they say like he deleted stuff off of his phone, because they got all the information anyway and it led to nowhere. It did not attach him to anything. So him deleting something can be recovered. I know, I used to work with those machines. I know they can be recovered, the stuff that you delete. But the fact that his came back and still wasn't connected to anything is interesting. It's wild. It's you would think that something would connect him to this crime and be on his phone that connects him to this crime if he's the person who did it, right? Okay, we're gonna move on. So the next one is actually the Brian Koberger's arrest. And it's actually pretty short. And this was written by Payne a month later, a month after his arrest. This is the report for the arrest warrant and arrest of Kohberger. Based off information obtained during the course of this investigation, I applied for an arrest warrant for Brian C. Kohberger. Magistrate Judge Marshall signed the warrant on 12/29. Previous search warrants and information led investigators to believe Kohberger left Pullman, Washington, and returned to his parents' home in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. Gilbertson, T.S., and I flew to Pennsylvania on 12/29 and met with the Pennsylvania State Police and FBI personnel there. Wait a minute. Or was that, I'm like, wait, I thought they sat out there for like a day or something watching him. That could have been Pennsylvania police, though. I don't know. At approximately 1 a.m. on 12/30, the PSP CERT team conducted an operation at blank, which is Kohberger's parents' home, and took Kohberger into custody based off the warrant signed by Judge Marshall. Kohberger was taken to a nearby Pennsylvania State Police barracks, where Gilbertson and I interviewed him for approximately 45 minutes. See Sergeant Gilbertson's report on the interview for full details. The warrant was served to Kohberger upon his extradition back to Idaho and his booking into the Latah County Jail. So that's it for Payne's report, but it says, very, very first sentence, based off information obtained during the course of this investigation. No, honey. I'm going to need you to tell us exactly what those few things of information are that specifically led you to Kohberger. Just saying based off information obtained is not going to cut it. We need to know what exactly was it that led you to him, because we know now there was no connection. There was nothing. They're saying it like this on purpose. Instead of giving the information they obtained, they're saying it like this on purpose because what they did was illegal as crap with his DNA. That's why they're not telling us. Which is crap. It's so crappy. Oh, it says we have to see who's Gilbertson. Gilbertson for full arrest details. Okay, we'll find that one. Okie dokie, let's do 136. I think this one, I just want to show you something on there, unless I'm mistaken. Let's see. Let's see. Well, would you look at that? This is by Payne. Kohberger's information and cell phone search warrant. As part of the investigation, an extensive search, commonly referred to in law enforcement as a video canvass, was conducted in the area of the King Road residence. This video canvass was to obtain any footage from the early morning hours of November 13th in the area of King Road and surrounding neighborhoods in an effort to locate the suspect or suspects' vehicle traveling to or leaving from the King Road residence. This video canvass resulted in the collection of numerous surveillance videos in the area from both residential and business addresses. I want to see the business address video that was near King Road. I have reviewed numerous videos that were collected and have had conversations with the other MPD officers ISP detectives and FBI agents that are similarly reviewing footage that was obtained. A review of camera footage indicated that a white sedan, hereafter known as Suspect Vehicle 1, was observed traveling westbound in the blank block of Indian Hills Drive in Moscow at approximately 3:26 a.m. and westbound on Steiner Avenue at Idaho State Highway 95 in Moscow at approximately 3:28. On this video, it appeared suspect vehicle 1 was not displaying a front license plate, nor did it appear the vehicle had fog lights on the lower portion of the front bumper based off video obtained from the SM located blank. This was the video which captured suspect vehicle 1 crossing South Main Street from Steiner Avenue to Louder Avenue at approximately 3:28 a.m. But we know that that vehicle did have a front license plate. It's just the refractive index on the license plate, because of the camera and the fact that it was night and the lack of light on it, made it so there wasn't visible refraction from the light. A review of footage from multiple vehicles obtained from the King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1 starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20. These sightings show suspect vehicle 1 makes an initial 3 passes by the 1122 King Road residence and then leave via Walenta Drive. Do you want to know what's incredibly interesting about the fact that he says it makes an initial 3 passes? In one of Tesdall and Rosie's reports on the route that they took, number 1 is this exact route. Number 2, it says we took this route. We did 3 passes on our route. That's what the undercover cops and undercover car did. They took 3 passes. That's what they reported. So it's interesting that even in this report, when they're saying it's Kohberger, they saw him do 3 passes. No hunty, ma'am. That was the undercover car. That was your own car. Shame on them. Based off of my experience as a patrol officer, this is a residential neighborhood with a very limited number of vehicles that travel in the area during the morning hours. Upon review of the video, there are only a few cars that enter and exit this area during this time frame. No, we saw quite a few. We saw quite a few cars enter and exit. Suspect vehicle 1 can be seen entering the area a 4th time at approximately 4:04 a.m. It can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping and turning around in front of Queen Road, and then driving back westbound on King Road. When suspect vehicle 1 is in front of the King Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. The vehicle then continued to the intersection of Queen Road and King Road, where it can be seen completing a 3-point turn and then driving eastbound again down Queen Road. Okay, so when Kohberger supposedly enters for the 4th time at 4:04 a.m. and did all of this, driving, going back, doing a 3-point turn, then going back again, then turning around and going back again. So now what time would it be? It would be a couple minutes, maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe. So we'll just say 2 minutes. 4:06 a.m. we're at now, right? Okay, Molly freaking McMichael would have been gone by then. Although she said she spent 15 minutes there, that was 15 minutes before the food was dropped off. The food was dropped off at 3:59. She said she dropped off the food and left. She had already been there for 15 minutes. The 15 minutes wasn't after she dropped off the food, it was before. So how the hell did Molly McMichael, how the heck did Brian Koberger park behind Molly McMichael? She would have been gone, right? I'm going to look at that again. I could be wrong, but I thought she was gone by that time. Suspect vehicle 1 is next seen departing the area of King Road residence at approximately 4:20 at a high rate of speed. Suspect vehicle 1 is next observed traveling southbound on Willenta Drive. Based on my knowledge of the area and review of the camera footage in the neighborhood that does not show suspect vehicle 1 during that time frame, I believe that suspect vehicle 1 likely exited the neighborhood at Palos River Drive and Conestoga Drive. Palos River Drive is at the southern edge of Moscow and proceeds into Whitman County, Washington. Eventually, the road leads to Pullman. Pullman, Washington is approximately 10 miles from Moscow. Both Pullman and Moscow are small college towns, and people commonly travel back and forth between them. Law enforcement officers provided video footage of suspect vehicle 1 to forensic examiners with the Federal Bureau of FBI that regularly utilize surveillance footage to identify the year, make, and model of an unknown vehicle that is observed by one or more cameras during the commission of a criminal offense. The forensic examiner has approximately 35 years law enforcement experience with 12 years at the FBI. His specific training includes identifying unique characteristics of vehicles, and he uses a database that gives visual clues of vehicles across states to identify differences between vehicles. After reviewing the numerous observations of suspect vehicle 1, the forensic examiner initially believed that suspect vehicle 1 was a 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. Upon further review, he indicated it could also be a 2011 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. As a result, investigators have been reviewing information on persons in possession of a vehicle that is a 2011-2016 white Hyundai Elantra, and that is absolutely not true. We know, we've seen the email that this forensic examiner emailed back to Pullman Police Department and said specifically, it could possibly be up to a 2016 Hyundai Elantra, but from my experience, I'm going to stick with 2011 to 2013 specifically. Basically, throw out the part that says it could be up to 2016, and we're just going to stick with the years 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra. That's not added in here. But I've seen that email with my own two eyes. Investigators were given access to video footage on the Washington State University campus located in Pullman. A review of that video indicated that at approximately 2:53 on November 13th, a white sedan, which is consistent with the description of the white Elantra, known as suspect vehicle 1, was observed traveling southeast on Nevada Street in Pullman towards State Route 270. State Route 270 connects Pullman, Washington to Moscow. This camera footage from Pullman was provided to the same FBI forensic examiner. The forensic examiner identified the vehicle observed in Pullman as being a 2014 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. But here's the thing, we would have seen if Koberger left his apartment in his own vehicle, which they're saying he did, and it's at least 15 minutes before 3:25, so 3:10, he would have had to leave his apartment to be captured on video in Moscow. It would have shown that on all of these body-worn cameras and cop car videos from that hit and run scene next to his apartment. So if there's no follow-up on that, we know this is not his vehicle. Period. It can't be. Unless, of course, he teleported, right? Sounds like in this case, we have a lot of teleportation going on, specifically in the house with bloody footprints that magically don't appear when they walk because they teleported. The first camera that recorded the white sedan was located at blank Johnson Road in Pullman. The white sedan was observed traveling northbound on Johnson. Johnson Road leads directly back to West Palos River Drive in Moscow, which intersects with Conestoga Drive. The white sedan was then observed turning north on Bishop Boulevard and northwest on State Route 70 at approximately 5:27 a.m. The white Elantra was observed on cameras traveling northbound on Stadium Way at Nevada Street, Stadium Way at Grimes Way, Stadium Drive at Wilson Road, and Stadium Way at Cougar Way. I don't know what they're saying. On November 25th, MPD asked area law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for a white Hyundai Elantra in the area. On November 29th, at approximately 12:28 a.m., Washington WSU police officer Daniel Tiango queried white Elantras registered at WSU. As a result of that query, he located a 2015 white Elantra with a Pennsylvania license plate. This vehicle was registered to Brian Koberger, hereafter Koberger, residing at Steptoe Apartments, Pullman, Washington. Blank blank is approximately 3/4 of a mile from the intersection of Stadium Way and Cougar Way, the last camera location that picked up the white Elantra. The same day at approximately 12:58, WSU officer Curtis Whitman was looking for white Hyundai Elantras and located a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra at Steptoe Apartments in Pullman in the parking lot. The Steptoe Apartments is an apartment complex that houses WSU students. Officer Whitman also ran the car and it returned to Koberger with a Washington tag. Upon receipt of this information, I reviewed Koberger's Washington state driver's license information and photograph via a driver's license query for that time, or for that name. This license indicates that Koberger is a white male with a height of 6 foot and weighs 185 pounds. Additionally, the photograph of Koberger shows that he has bushy eyebrows. Koberger's physical description is consistent with the description of the male Dylan Mortensen saw inside the King Road residence on November 13th. Further investigation, including a review of Latah County Sheriff's Department Corporal Duke's body cam and reports, showed that on August 21st, Brian Koberger was detained as part of a traffic stop that occurred in Moscow by Corporal Duke. At the time, Koberger, who was the sole occupant, was driving a white 2015 Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plate, which was set to expire on November 30th. Boom. Every guilter that says he changed his license plate so in case it was seen on camera, now he's got different license plate. No, baby doll, it says right in here, November 30th is when his plates expired. And that's why he got new plates. During the stop, which was recorded via a law enforcement body camera, Koberger provided his phone number as blank. Thereafter, the 8458 phone number. And that is his cell phone number. Investigators conducted electronic database queries and learned that Koberger's phone is a number issued by AT&T. On October 14th, Brian Koberger was detained as part of a traffic stop by WSU police officer. Wait a minute. I need to know what time this is at. Brian Koberger was detained as part of a traffic stop by WSU police officer. Upon review of that body cam and report of the stop, Koberger was the sole occupant and was driving a white 2015 Hyundai Elantra with Pennsylvania plate. No. I need that body cam. I need to know what time that is. I have to know what time that is, because if that is anywhere a little before 1 o'clock or a little after 1 o'clock or around 1 o'clock in the morning, that proves it was not Koberger trying to get into Ava Woods' apartment, because that is the same day. And it shows right here, he was in Pullman. He was in Washington. He was not in Moscow at that time. But I don't know that yet. I need to get the body cam for that exact stop. Let me write that down. All right. On November 18th, according to Washington State Licensing, Koberger registered the 2015 white Elantra with Washington and later received Washington plates. Prior to this time, the car was registered in Pennsylvania, which does not require a front license plate to be displayed. This was learned through communications with Pennsylvania officer who is currently certified in the state of Pennsylvania. Based on my own experience in communication with the Washington law enforcement, I know that Idaho and Washington require front and back license plates to be displayed. Investigators believe that Koberger continued to drive the white Elantra as the vehicle was captured on December 13th, 2022 by a license plate reader in Loma, Colorado. Koberger's Elantra was then queried on December 15th by law enforcement in Hancock County, Indiana. It was later learned that query was a result of a traffic stop in Hancock County, Indiana, wherein Koberger was the driver of the white Elantra with his father as the passenger. Koberger was stopped again 9 minutes later in Hancock County and released without citation or further enforcement. On December 16th at approximately 2:26 p.m., video surveillance obtained by request of FBI agents in Pennsylvania showed Koberger's Elantra in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. The only visible occupant of the vehicle was a white male whose description was consistent with Koberger. Koberger has family in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, an address which is inside the gated community where the footage was captured. Based on information provided on the WSU website, Koberger was a PhD student in criminology at Washington State. Pursuant to records provided by a member of the interview panel for Pullman Police Department, we learned that the fall 2022 semester was Koberger's first semester at WSU. Additionally, these same records indicated Koberger's past education included undergraduate degrees in psychology and cloud-based forensics. These records also show Koberger wrote an essay when he applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department in the fall of 2022. Koberger wrote in his essay he had interest in assisting rural law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze technological data in public safety operations. Koberger also posted a Reddit survey, which can be found by an open source internet search. The survey asked for participants to provide information to understand how emotions and psychological traits influence decision making when committing a crime, unquote. As part of this investigation, law enforcement obtained search warrants to determine cellular devices that utilize cellular towers in close proximity to the King Road residence on November 13th between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. After determining that Koberger was associated to both the 2015 white Elantra and the 8458 phone number, investigators reviewed these search warrant returns. A query of the 8458 phone in these returns did not show the phone utilizing cellular tower resources in close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 and 5 a.m. Based on my training and experience and conversations with law enforcement, officers that specialize in the utilization of cellular telephone records as part of investigations, individuals can either leave their cellular telephone at a different location before committing a crime or turn their phone off prior to going to a location to commit a crime. This is done by subjects in an effort to avoid alerting law enforcement that a cellular device associated with them was in a particular area where a crime is committed. I also know that on numerous occasions, subjects will surveil an area where they intend to commit a crime prior to the date of the crime. Depending on the circumstances, this could be done a few days before or several months prior to the commission of a crime. During these types of surveillance, it is possible that an individual could not leave their cellular telephone at a separate location or turn it off since they do not plan to commit the offense on that particular day. On December 23rd, I applied for and was granted a search warrant for historical phone records between November 12th and November 14th for the 8458 phone held by the phone provider AT&T. On December 23rd, pursuant to the search warrant, I received records for 8458 phone from AT&T. These records indicate that number is subscribed to Brian Koberger at an address in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, and the account has been open since June 23rd of 2022. These records also include historical cell site location information. After receiving this information, I consulted with the FBI and the Cellular Analysis Survey Team, which is called CAST. Members of CAST are certified with the FBI to provide expert testimony in the field of historical CSLI and are required to pass extensive training that include both written and practical exams prior to the certification with CAST, as well as the completion of yearly certification requirements. Additionally, the FBI CAST SA that I consulted with has over 15 years of federal law enforcement experience, which includes 6 years with the FBI. On November 13th, at approximately 2:42 in the morning, 8458 was utilizing cellular resources that provide coverage to his Steptoe apartment in Pullman. Hereafter, the Koberger residence. At approximately 2:47, the 8458 phone stops reporting to the network, which is consistent with either the phone being in an area without cellular coverage, the connection to the network is disabled, such as putting the phone in airplane mode, or that the phone is turned off. 8458 phone does not report to the network again until approximately 4:48 a.m., at which time it utilizes cellular resources that provide coverage to Idaho State Highway 95 between 4:50 a.m. and 5:26. The phone utilizes cellular services that are consistent with the phone traveling south on Idaho State 95 to Genesee, then traveling west towards Uniontown, and then north back to Pullman. At approximately 5:30, the phone utilizes resources that provide coverage to Pullman, consistent with the phone traveling back to Brian's residence. The phone's movements are consistent with the movements of the white Elantra that is observed traveling north on Stadium Drive at approximately 5:27, based on a review of the phone's estimated locations and travel. It's consistent with that of the white Elantra. Further review indicated that the phone utilized cellular resources on November 13th that are consistent with the phone leaving the area of Koberger's residence at approximately 9 a.m. and traveling to Moscow. Specifically, the 8458 phone utilized cellular resources that would provide coverage to the King Road residence between 9:12 and 9:21 a.m. And then it's recorded traveling back to Brian's residence, leaving the area at approximately 9:32. So he was there for 20 minutes. And if I'm not mistaken, that was when he actually went to the ATM in Moscow. and that is not necessarily driving by the residence. He specifically went to an ATM at that time. He was only there for 20 minutes. Investigators found that the phone number did connect to a cell tower that provides service to Moscow, but investigators do not believe the phone was in Moscow on that date. The phone is not connected to any towers that provide service. Wait a second. So his phone connected to a tower that services Moscow on the morning of the 14th, but investigators do not believe that phone was in Moscow on that date. So how did it connect to a tower? And why are all the guilters saying he went back to the crime scene the next morning at 9 in the morning? He did not. He went to the ATM in Moscow, but why do they think he wasn't in Moscow that day if his phone is pinging in Moscow? So doesn't that mean that could happen anytime? His phone could ping in Moscow anytime and it not be in Moscow, like they're saying right here. This is ludicrous. This is crazy. His phone pinged in Moscow, but they don't think it was in Moscow ever. I mean, on this day. So then couldn't that happen before? It's not just going to happen on that day at that time for the first time and last time. It could happen anytime. And based on my training and experience, I believe that Koberger is the user of that phone and likely the driver of the white Elantra. Additionally, the route of travel of that phone during the early morning hours on November 13th and the lack of the phone reporting to the network at 2:47 and 4:48 is consistent with Koberger attempting to conceal his location during the quadruple homicide that occurred at King Road residence. Koberger would likely have information on how cellular data can be utilized in criminal investigations as part of his past studies. If he knew that, which he did because they know it's part of his past studies, he would have known you don't turn your phone off because you don't take a phone with you and then turn it off right when you commit a crime and then turn it back on when you're done. That's the dumbest crap ever. Like, nobody would do that. You would just leave your phone at home. On December 23rd, I was granted a search warrant for Koberger's historical CSLI from June 23rd to current, prospective location information, and a trap and trace on his phone to aid efforts to determine if Koberger stalked any of the victims in this case or conducted surveillance on the King Road residence, or if he was in contact with any of the victims associated before or after the alleged offense, any locations that may contain evidence of the murders that occurred, the location of the white Elantra registered to Koberger, as well as the location of Koberger. On December 23rd, I received historical records back from AT&T. After consulting with CAST team, I was able to determine locations for the phone for June to present. The records for the phone show that phone utilizing cellular resources that provide coverage to the area of 1122 King Road on at least 12 occasions prior to November 13th. All of these occasions, except for one, occurred in the late evening and early morning hours of their respective days. Now, they say they only have reports of him pinging in Moscow or on the cell tower that provides service to 1122 King Road 12 times, but we know that he actually went to Target 16 times. So there's that. On one of these occasions, August 21st, resources providing coverage to 1122 King Road residents from approximately 10:34 p.m. to 11:35. At approximately 11:37, Koberger was stopped by Latah County Sheriff's Deputy Corporal Duke, as mentioned above. The phone was utilizing cellular resources consistent with the location of the traffic stop during this time. Further analysis of the cellular data provided shows the phone utilized cellular resources on November 13th, consistent with the phone traveling from Pullman, Washington to Lewiston, Idaho on US 195. At approximately 12:36, the phone utilized cellular resources that would provide coverage to Kate's Cup of Joe Coffee, located at blank Clarkston, Washington. Surveillance footage from the U.S. Chef's store, located at Clarkston, Washington, and adjacent to Kate's Cup of Joe, showed a white Elantra consistent with suspect vehicle 1. Drive past Kate's Cup of Joe at a time consistent with the cellular data from the phone. So they're just placing him like at places that they know absolutely 100% he was at, and comparing it to the stuff they got back from the warrant on his phone, just to make sure it correlates that his phone does register at these places in the time he's seen at these places. At approximately 12:46 p.m., the phone utilized cellular data in the area of Albertson's grocery store in Clarkston, Washington. Surveillance footage obtained from the Albertson showed Koberger exit the white Elantra at approximately 12:49 p.m. Interior surveillance showed Koberger walk through the store, purchase unknown items at the checkout, and leave at approximately 1:04 p.m. How would you not know what he bought? Get the receipt. You got the receipt for everything else. You got the receipt from every time he went to Walmart in Washington. Additional analysis of records for the phone indicated that between 5:32 and 5:36, the phone utilized cellular resources that provide coverage to Johnson, Washington. The phone then stops reporting to the network from 5:36 to 8:30 p.m. That is consistent with the phone being in the area that the phone traveled in the hours immediately following the suspect time the homicides occurred. On December 27, Pennsylvania agents recovered the trash from the Koberger family residence located in Pennsylvania. The evidence was sent to the Idaho State Lab for testing. On December 28, the lab reported that a DNA profile obtained from the trash and the DNA profile obtained from the sheath identified a male as not being excluded as the biological father of suspect profile. At least 99.9998% of the male population would be expected to be excluded from the possibility of being the suspect's biological father. Based on the above information, I requested an arrest warrant be issued for Brian C. Koberger for the burglary at 1122 King Street in Moscow, 4 counts of murder in the first degree for the murders of Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. And that's it for that one. So because his phone didn't report to the network for 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours, and because the DNA matched on the sheath, the teeny, tiny, tiny trace DNA that's less than a secondary transfer amount of DNA, they got a warrant for his arrest. Wild. Yeah, Susan, I can't believe they zip tied them. Like, come on, you knew what you were doing. You flew all the way out there from Idaho, and you don't have handcuffs on you? You don't have, like, I don't know why the parents had to be zip tied anyways. Why are we zip tying people? Yeah, I don't know why they would zip tie. I mean, you have freaking handcuffs. That's your job. You probably have 100 pairs of handcuffs between all of you. You can't handcuff them loosely if you need them. I mean, you know that I don't know. I do not know. That is crazy, though. All right, guys, I went quite a bit over what I thought I was going to. I'm going to have to pop off really quick. Hello, Elsie and Mariska. All right, guys, he doesn't use Fetch. I use Fetch. Heck yeah, I need some of that money back, baby. Okay, guys, I gotta hop off. I am going to dig into a couple more things because I want to make sure I have these names correct. So I thank you guys for coming and spending a little bit of time with me. Hi, Big CWS. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Ren. I didn't even see you in here. I hope you guys have a fabulous evening. Do something nice for yourself. Be kind. But be kind to your dog and your animals and your cats. Yes, Bianca, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I wonder if I can put it back up real quick. Is it open still? No, I closed it. It would take me forever to get it back open. Dang it. How did I do that anyway? Let me see. Oh, hold on. Oh, I know how I did it. Hello, our favorite humans. Welcome to Bronx Tales with your host, Bronx TV, and me. I'm Logan. Thank you for being here. Look at Bronx. Oh my gosh. First, I want to just thank every single one of you who joined our live last night, and as well as the people who watched it on replay. Why are you unsubscribing? And we just want to thank you so much for all the support you guys give. This is an amazing I love that you're here. With you should amazing stay. People. You guys have excellent ideas and thought processes and able to think outside the box. And we just really appreciate the support that everybody gives us. Especially a huge shout out to Bianca for modding for us last night on our very first live. Thank you guys. We really, really appreciate you. That is so oh my God, I can't believe how much that looks just like Bronx as a puppy. That's so crazy to me. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off. Thank you for being here. I will see you all tomorrow evening, more than likely. More than likely. It'll probably be at the same time. More than likely. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. Have a fabulous evening. Love you guys so much. Please be safe. Please be safe tonight if you do anything, okay? Okay. Bye.